Welcome to my channel. My name is Rainer and this is Rainier Books. I love books. Well, let me tell you today about a short story collection that you probably have never heard of and haven't read yet. But you should. You definitely should. I'm talking about Sleepovers, stories by Ashleigh, Bryant, Phillips. Sleepovers is a short story collection that was published in 2020 by Hub City Press in the United States that most of you probably have not heard of. I remember buying this book when I was looking for American short stories in the early 2020s, so I think it was published only a year before I bought it. And then it was resting on my shelves right behind me on my beautiful white Swedish IKEA shelves made in Poland, probably. The book won the C. Michael Curtis Short Story Book Prize, selected by the very well-known American writer Lauren Groff. And the prize result included the publication of the short stories by Hub City Press, a small publisher which is residing in Spartanburg, South Carolina. All the stories in this collection are anchored in a southern landscape, and I think we are very probably in North Carolina, in rural North Carolina, an area where most tourists who come to the United States never will visit, and where many Americans fly over if they do not happen to have relatives there. And that's also something that Ashleigh Bryant Phillips has pointed out in an interview, that where she grew up in Woodland, North Carolina, a very small town, a couple of hundred people living there, visitors were always visiting a relative that they had there, and never came somebody, by chance or by tourist interest to Woodland in North Carolina. We meet characters living in economically challenged, marginalized, and overlooked communities. A lot of very poor people, to put it very mildly. Several times I came to think of the forgotten people who live under the surface, not in the spotlight of the otherwise richest country in the history of the world. That's what we're always told about America. It's the richest country in the history of the world, but definitely not in this area where the stories play out that Ashleigh Bryant Phillips has written here. She's a very talented writer. She's capable of bringing these houses, these villages, these places, these petrol stations to life. Poverty, memory, place, family, disability, rural life, and the passage of time are subjects of these stories, and also the characters they have to endure very often sudden, unexpected, brutal outbursts of violence or sexual assault. The way the author depicts this everyday horror, I think there's a lot of horror in these stories, is very casual. It is never blown up. It's happening every day. It's happening now and then, and it can happen to each and everyone. Ashleigh grew up, as I said, in Woodland in North Carolina, and her Instagram account, which is private, is at Woodland Raised.
Woodland, North Carolina is a small, diverse rural town located in Northampton County, which is part of an agricultural region situated in the northeastern section of the state. Incorporated on March 9th, 1893, the town of Woodland was once a hub for local industry and innovation. And it goes on to say, we welcome the opportunity to attract new businesses and financial investors who may be able to help us grow as a community. It is a charming little town that its citizens proudly call home. Our arms are open wide as we welcome you to come and join us.
Woodland is a small town with no more than 600 people, but the number of inhabitants is apparently declining. The poverty rate is 26.7%. Only 8.7% of the population of Woodland, North Carolina have higher degrees. Ethnicity, it's a difficult word, is mixed with 42% of Caucasian white people and 48% Afro-American. Soybeans and cotton are very important for the local economy. Woodland is similar to the not-mentioned place in Ashleigh Bryant's short story collection, where economic decline, low income, poverty, gas stations, soybean fields, fishing holes, and small-town routines are the recurring themes and settings. The singer and songwriter John Cougar, or John Mellencamp nowadays, has written a hymn about small-town life in America that you probably know. I was born in a small town, probably die in a small town. And that's good enough for me. Something like that. That's wrong. Laird Hunt, an American writer, has portrayed also rural American life in his novel Zorrie, that was, I think, shortlisted for the National Book Award, a finalist for the National Book Award a couple of years ago, where he portrays Zorrie, a woman living a decent, kind of sad but quiet life in the American Midwest. Sleepovers, here we get a picture of the small town life in one of the poorest corners of America that is nothing but, it's not nothing but deprived, hopeless and violent. It's more, actually. There's also community between the people. There's also affection between a lot of people also there. There's resilience among those people. But their chances of getting away are limited. They are, instead of nostalgia or idyllic moments, we get not so much of this here in these stories. We encounter hardship and very limited options. For me, as a European reader from Sweden and Germany, I also see some of the roots of the deep divide in the United States here, and I come again to think of the forgotten people.
These are the forgotten men and women of our country.
A lot of the current problems of the Democratic Party in the United States, according to my personal opinion, are based in not realizing the reality of everyday life for millions and millions of Americans who do not read the New York Times, who have not attended Harvard, Princeton, Yale, or Stanford University. Instead, someone else has promised them that they will be forgotten no more, not knowing that the people who they have elected have nothing but despise and contempt for them. That is another sad thought that I got from reading these stories. When Ashleigh Bryant Phillips grew up, she said in an interview, books didn't play a great role in her life, but oral storytelling does. And that's also what she's working with today, when she is a visiting professor, I believe, at the Appalachian State University in Boone in North Carolina. It was not a very pleasurable, happy reading, this book, but it was a very necessary reading about a lot of children and teenagers, young people who are living in these situations and who don't find a way out very easily. I think this collection is absolutely worthwhile reading, so if you have a chance, please get it from your independent bookseller and buy it, or get it from your local library, get it from another library if you can. These stories are very well written. They are absolutely deserve to be read by more people, and I absolutely hope also, absolutely again, that this author, Ashleigh Bryant Phillips, is writing more, that she's able to publish more. I'm sure that she's writing more, but that she publishes more, and that we're able to read her next short story collection or her first novel. With that, I would advise you to please give me some advice on other short story collections that more people should read, and also write me a comment down below if you like this kind of writing, if you have thoughts about it, and hopefully you subscribe to the channel, you give me that important like, you give me that commentary, and I will be able to maybe speak to people like Ashleigh Bryant Phillips in the future about her writing, about her stories. With that, I will leave you to the beautiful weekend, or the next weekend. I don't know when I'm going to publish that. Thanks very much for watching this video. I see you soon in another one. I see you later, and have a great one. Bye-bye.